What's up everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name is KG and today we are going to talk about tips and things you need to know before you decide to retire in the Philippines. If you are not ready to retire, that's okay because you can still watch this video and you can use it in the future for reference when you do decide to retire. Now, before I get started, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the like. Now, what you need to know is Philippines is one of the 25 best cities to retire in 2018. Filipinos will win your heart every single time. Living there, people are so hospitable, they're willing to help you. Most Filipinos will understand English, but if they don't, you will be greeted with a smile every single time. Filipinos are always happy, even when times are tough. They will love you. They will treat you like family. It's a number one tip I will give you. It is the most important tip. Make sure you do this. I cannot stress it enough. Visit the Philippines and stay there for at least 2 to 4 months. And make sure that when you do visit, you visit during the monsoon season. Why at least 2 months, you ask? Well, you know, anytime you visit a country or you're on vacation for a week or two, it is very easy to make a decision to live in a country where it's always sunny and bright and beautiful. You know, if you're on vacation, you're on vacation mode. You don't actually get to live how the locals do. Also, why during the monsoon season? Why? Because it rains and it rains and it rains. If you don't know what a typhoon is, it is like a hurricane. No joke, okay? Living here in the United States, when it rains, people will say, hey, it's raining cats and dogs. So I would look out the window and it's barely raining. So if you don't know what a typhoon or a hurricane is, look it up online or visit during this season so you would know if you could live there even with the bad weather. There are a lot of spots in the Philippines that flood, and when I say flood, I'm talking about you're on your roof flood, okay? The number 2 thing you need to know is that foreign property ownership is restricted. If you have dreams of buying a land and building a house, you cannot do that if you're a foreigner. You can, however, buy a condo or a townhouse or rent. What is great though is that if you are on a budget, you can find something to rent there, and if you want to live luxuriously, there is always an apartment for you. The only thing you have to worry about is the cost of electricity. Meralco is the electric company and they have a monopoly in most of Manila and the neighboring cities and provinces around. So electricity can be very expensive. If you're not used to humid weather, then you're gonna be turning on your air conditioning a lot, and you know, your electricity just keeps going up. So just make sure you watch out and research on that. I will talk about cost of living more in a little bit. Tip number 3. If you're looking for a place to live there and you don't have any idea where to begin, if you see an expat, then make sure you go and talk to them and find an expat community that would help guide you to where you would want to live. If you still don't have any idea where to live, I will give you a few recommendations. First city I want to talk about is called Makati. It's actually a center of trade and business as most international schools are there, and 90% of foreign embassies are located in that area. It is also only 30 minutes away from the airport, and if you don't know the traffic in the Philippines, then 30 minutes away from the airport is actually really good. Within Makati, Greenbelt and Ayala area is pretty safe. If you're into more of the chiller vibe, then you may want to live in Tagaytay. Tagaytay is not so busy unless it's the weekends or the holidays, because most of people from Manila flock all the way up to Tagaytay during the summers and the weekends to cool down because it's a lot cooler up there. Baguio City is also higher in elevation. It will be much cooler, so if you cannot take heat, then this is the city for you. Baguio, by the way, is the summer capital of the Philippines. If you're looking to live below your budget, Leyte might be for you. Leyte doesn't have any active volcano. It's a lot chiller. It's not as busy as the city. Another place I would like to recommend is Subic Bay. Around the Subic Bay Free Zone, there's actually very little crime. It's very quiet. If you like the nightclubs, I don't know what kind of nightclubs they have, but they have tons of them. Bars and restaurants, then this place might be for you. If you want me to research on these cities even more, just let me know on the comments below. Now let's move on to tip number 4. Let's talk about healthcare. Most people in the Philippines don't have the healthcare insurance, and they usually pay out of pocket, and paying out of pocket for a consult for a doctor is usually between $7 and $10. You heard that right. It's only between $7 to $10. It's not necessary for you as a foreigner to have healthcare coverage, but it is recommended. If you need healthcare insurance, then you can look into PhilHealth, and healthcare coverage for you will run you about $454 a year. Not a month, a year. I don't understand why we're paying around that a month here in the US. And what type of hospitals are available to you? Well, most of the private hospitals that have the best facilities are usually around the most popular cities in Manila. And one of them that I could recommend is St. Luke's Hospital. St. Luke's Hospital is actually voted one of the 20 best hospitals in the world. You can also go to most public hospitals, and although the facilities won't be the best, you will find the most talented doctors working there as well. If you are a US veteran, there's actually a VA outpatient clinic in Manila. Let's talk about tip number 5. If you are a foreigner, you are allowed 30 days to stay in the country. Anything other than that, you will have to ask for an extension with the immigration department. If you have decided you do want to live there, then you have to look into the SRRV, which stands for Special Residence Retirement Visa. This just means that you can reside in the Philippines without asking for an extension over and over and over again. There are some stipulations that you need to follow though. If you are 50 years old or older and you have a pension, then you can definitely apply for this. You just need to deposit $10,000 in a CD account or time deposit. You also have to make at least $800 per month as your pension if you are single, and for a couple, it's $1,000 a month. Now, if you don't have a pension, if you're the ages between 35 and 49, then you can still stay there. You just have to make a deposit of $50,000 into a CD or a time deposit. If you are 50 or over without a pension, then you just have to deposit about $20,000 in a CD or time deposit. Just a word of advice. As of today, it's December 8, 2020. The Special Resident Retiree Visa is actually suspended until further notice. Now let's talk about number 6, cost of living. You can actually live very comfortably in the Philippines for about $800 to $1,200 per month. Also, just to give you an idea of how much groceries are in the Philippines, it's about $1.75 for a dozen eggs. It's $1 for a loaf of bread. A simple yet delicious meal will run you about $3. If you're looking into eating out and there's a family of 4, you're probably gonna spend around $20 to $30. If you're a foodie, then this country is for you. When it comes to food, Filipinos don't play. How serious are we Filipinos when it comes to food? It's a national sport. Let's talk about tip number 7, travel during COVID. If you are planning a travel to the Philippines during the pandemic, it will be okay. As of now, they still allow people to travel into the Philippines. You are required to pre-book a quarantine facility approved by the government. There are hundreds of hotels that they have approved, so it's not a biggie. It's not like you have 2 facilities and you have to pick from like this and this. There are tons of choices for you. Another requirement is that you need to pre-book a COVID-19 testing laboratory at the airport. You are required to stay at least 2 days until the Bureau of Immigration gives you a medical certificate saying that you do not have COVID-19. Well, there you go, folks. I have given you 7 tips and things you need to know before you make that decision. Just don't forget to hit like and and subscribe, and have a good day, folks.